مصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء، واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولقد أرسلنا رسلنا بالبينات وأنزلنا معهم الكتاب والميزان ليقوم الناس بالقسط. صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله الكريم. Recite another salawat, please. اللهم صل على محمد. Inshallah, as you remember, we were talking about the roles that we can assume for Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam in a given society. So we almost covered the first role that we can assume, we can imagine for Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam in a society, in a community, in a country, in a nation, in the whole world. That is to be the establishment of the government. When we talk about this word, as soon as we utter and then we express this opinion, some people might think that it is most of a kind of political nature. So when we talk about the establishment of the government by, for example, progeny of or household of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or for example, one of his representatives, it means that, wow, they are into politics. And then politics by nature is something which is polluted, which is contaminated, which is something that is not very purified. And then it has nothing to do with, for example, Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. So this is mostly what people and the public nowadays, they will say and they will think about. And to some extent they are right as well, because mostly now the politics is something that they have to play tricks on people. They have to fool the mind of people. They have to ridicule people so that they can earn as much as possible for themselves, for their country, for their own nation, okay? So for example, if a country comes into dialogue with another country, 100% they are looking for their own happiness, for their own interest. They are pursuing their own interests in the deals, in the contracts, in conventions, in different dialogues that they might have with different countries. It is not something that we say, okay, for example, my country will come to talk with another country, and then this is out of a complete loyalty. Okay, this is not politics nowadays. If you just say something like this, they say that it is out of your naiveness, because you are immature, you are not a real politician, you don't understand what real politics is. So you're saying something like this, idealistic, let's say, ideologies. So when politics, we assume is like this, when we regard it, what is it to Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam? They have to stand far away, as we do have some academics and intellectuals right now in Shia world that they will say, well, one of the most fundamental purposes of not only Ahlul Bayt, but even the ones or whom they succeeded, prophets, of course I mean, that they have come only for hereafter. They came and they have been descended to humanity in order to guide us toward the right path, toward our felicity, toward our bliss, toward our prosperity, to have a very good stance and position in hereafter. But, Assalamu alaikum, it doesn't need an establishment of the government. This is something that people themselves can do. So this is actually a very important question. And then we have to, maybe some sessions, talk about it. We can refer to the traditions that we do have. We can refer to the verses of Quran that we do have in this respect. We can refer to the history of Islam also, to find out what just happened, what took place in the history of Islam. when there was a chance, even a minor chance, for a given ma'soom, an infallible person, to lead the community, what he has been done? Well, directly, if I want to draw your attention to that specific spot or to that specific period of the time that I'm thinking about, I will give you the example of the time of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Recite the salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin. The way that he commenced his caliphate is very surprising, because according to our ideology, he was the immediate successor to Holy Prophet. He deserved to be accepted by the community as well as he was announced before that by Holy Prophet in different occasions. Well, this is actually has been done a lot, and then it has been discussed as well a lot, I think. That there is no any further reference to the facts that we do have in the history saying that Holy Prophet did announce Ali ibn Abi Talib as his successor, and this is something which is undoubted. Okay. I don't want to delve into this point, but what I want to say is that, okay, we assume that Holy Prophet did that. What happened that Ali ibn Abi Talib could not lead the community after the demise of Holy Prophet himself? What was the reason? Was there something wrong with the system? Was there something wrong with the community? Was there something wrong with the announcement itself? Wasn't it clear? Was it ambiguous? Was it vague to people? People did not understand. People went astray just out of some arbitrarily intentions. There were some, let's say, presumptuous intentions toward Ali ibn Abi Talib and the household Ahlul Bayt of Holy Prophet. So these are actually the questions. And then I think, okay, we say that, well, to come along with, for example, Sunnis, saying that, okay, there were actually some points that we can assume, although we do believe that Ali ibn Abi Talib was the immediate successor to Holy Prophet, but then what happened is that community did not accept. Okay, let us suppose that, let us regard that, let us assume that the community wanted, for example, Abu Bakr to succeed Prophet immediately, and then afterward the second caliph, afterward the third caliph. Although there are so many discussions in this respect that how the second caliph and the third caliph were selected as well. Okay. But then the question, the very important question here is that, okay, now let's go and read the history, and this is a specific period of the time. When Uthman in the 35th year after the demise of Holy Prophet was killed, okay, by some people that they came from Egypt mostly. So 3 or 4 days after, according to different histories, well, if you go, for example, and read Muruj al-Zahab written by Mas'udi, if you go, for example, read Kamil fi Tarikh written by Ibn Athir, they will assume like 3 days to 7 days, 3 days to 5 days that it took from the time that they killed Uthman and the time that people, we can say, not kind of attacked, but there was an influx of coming of the people to Ali ibn Abi Talib that you should be our leader. Okay. So only 5 days. So the question is, okay, when people came and insistingly they emphasized on the leadership of Ali ibn Abi Talib, did he accept immediately? So most of us know that the fact. What Ali ibn Abi Talib did is in the first, or let's say in the beginning, he rejected. He did not accept this kind of already presented, maybe we can say gift, okay? He said, I don't want. Go and find another person. Now, if we assume that it is one of the roles of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam in a society, in any community, to lead the community and then to have or to establish a government, why Ali ibn Abi Talib already rejected that position in the first glance? Why was that? What was the reason? If this was something that Ali ibn Abi Talib deserved, like saying that 25 years ago, why after 25 years that he kept quiet? He did a very politically passive and inactive, let's say, role in the society. I don't want to say that he was completely inactive, but as a person that in the time of Prophet was one of the most important figures of Islam, comparing to Ali alayhi salam, who was one of the pioneers and forerunners of Islam, a person whom by his mighty hands so many lands were conquered. So Ali ibn Abi Talib in the time of Holy Prophet is completely incomparable to Ali ibn Abi Talib in this period of 25 years. Okay, now after 25 years, it was again a kind of opportunity and chance for Ali ibn Abi Talib to come again to the first scene, to present himself, to show himself, and then to play that very important role that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants him to do it. Why he rejected? This is a very important question. There is actually it has been mentioned in one of the sermons of Nahj al-Balagha. Well, actually, in parentheses, let me tell you also important point regarding the book Nahj al-Balagha. So mostly the version of Nahj al-Balagha that nowadays we have access to is a book that has been collected and compiled by Sayyid Sharif al-Radhi. So this is a book that when you go through it, you will find in different sermons there is he has chosen those sermons selectively first. This is not all the sermons that Ali ibn Abi Talib has uttered during these 5 years, almost 5 years of his governance and reign and caliphate. Even to those numbers of the sermons that Sayyid al-Radhi has collected in his book, selectively, those selected sermons are not being narrated and quoted completely. Just min kalamillah. If you just open the book, you will see it has begun with this phrase, min kalamillah alayhi salam. It's a part of his speech. It's not all sermon, even just part. The selective, and then selective of selective, let's say. Okay? It has been double filtered somehow. Just newly, not very new, but I think back to 4 or 5 years ago, we do have a person that has collected, we can say, almost all Nahj al-Balagha sermons that has come to be 8 volumes. And it has been called as Tamam Nahj al-Balagha by Sayyid Sadiq al-Musawi. So when I was reading his memory of how he was able to do it, I mean, collecting 8 volumes of the sermons of Ali ibn Abi Talib, put them in a very separate and genuine book. So it's mentioned that I traveled to many different countries, libraries, India, I don't know, England and French, and then even Canada he has come, he said, to find, and then he was successful to find 16 manuscripts of Nahj al-Balagha. And then out of which he was able to come up with even not only those 16 manuscripts, but with more than 1,000 sources to that sermon. So I'm telling you all this to understand that Nahj al-Balagha, worth actually having it in our house, also in our shelves. And then it is actually 8 volumes. So, in any case, there are different versions of Nahj al-Balagha, I wanted to say. So here, in the sermon number 91, in some other versions it's 92. because of these changes in the versions of Nahj al-Balagha that already I told you. So 91 or 92, the title of this sermon is لَمَّا أُرِيدَ عَلَى الْبَيْعَ بَعْدَ قَتْلِ عُثْمَانَ. So this is exactly the title of that sermon that you can begin with. And then therein, it has been explained that why Ali ibn Abi Talib, according to his own words, that why I have in the beginning rejected this kind of presented gift, let's say, that I deserved 25 years ago. So he has mentioned, دَعُونِي وَالْتَمَسُوا غَيْرِي. So leave me alone when people were, let's say population after population coming to Ali ibn Abi Talib, please, plead to him, accept. So something like this, it was the custom. No, I don't want, please. Insisting Ali ibn Abi Talib to accept. So he said, دعوني, leave me. وَالْتَمَسُوا غَيْرِي, go and ask others. Okay, that you think that also they might handle this position. They can figure it out. فَإِنَّا مُسْتَقْبِلُونَ أَمْرًا لَهُ وُجُوهٌ وَأَلْوَانٌ. Why he is mentioned as leave me? Because now we are facing and we are heading toward a period of the time that it is very complicated. And it has got different aspects, different, we can say, even it has been here, alwan means colors. Means every person can play with it. Every person can come up with a specific interpretation of that time. It is not something that is fixed. It is so much like today. Like, for example, out of this mosque, when you go, life is something else other than inside. And then it has got different aspects. It is something which is very complicated. Life is not easy. So he has mentioned that فَإِنَّا مُسْتَقْبَلُونَ أَمْرًا لَهُ وُجُوهٌ وَأَلْوَانٌ. It is very complicated. It is not easy to understand. Not because I'm not able to do it, because something has been made or something has been done before me that made me or made the situation very difficult if I want to start kind of a reformation that is needed. A kind of society that is sick. A kind of society is to be delivered to me that is intrinsically ill. And it needs a rehabilitation. It needs to be recovered. And I know that if I want to come through those recoveries, if I want to come up with those reformist actions that I think, so there will be so many people on the contrary, so many people that they do resist. Okay, he will say, لا تقوم له القلوب ولا تثبت عليه العقول. Hearts are not that steadfast to tolerate it. And then they cannot endure these changes, these transition. Sometimes we did have also in different Islamic countries that they went through a transition, but then to, let's say, hold firm of it, and then to stick to it, to be steadfast, to be enduring, to be that much tolerant, to preserve the conditions after, for example, that transition era, it is actually what matters. It is actually what is important. But so many countries, they have returned to their, let's say, pre-revolutions or that kind of monarchy that they had before the revolution. Just why? Just because people could not stand it. People could not tolerate it, that transition. So Ali ibn Abi Talib was saying that it is not something that you want me to do. وَإِن تَرَكْتُمُونِي فَأَنَا أَحَدُكُمْ كَأَحَدِكُمْ. If you just leave me, it is also very comfortable for you, convenient for me. I will be one like you. I will be like an individual like you, a simple member of the society. And then it will come up with, for example, my opinions. I will come up with my own ideas. But because I'm only one person, whether to be heard or not to be heard is not that much important. وَلَعَلِّي أَسْمَعُكُمْ. Perhaps I will be more tolerant. Perhaps I will be more flexible than you toward, for example, the governments. وَأَوْطَعُكُمْ لَمَنْ وَلَّيْتُمُوهْ أَمْرَكُمْ. To whomever you want to deliver this position, maybe I'm more flexible, and then I will hear more than you. Okay, as I did in these 25 years. to first, second, and third caliphs. وَأَنَا لَكُمْ وَزِيرًا خَيْرٌ. I love this eloquence of this sentence. Shaykh Mazin, really. You just approve if this sentence is eloquence or not. وَأَنَا لَكُمْ وَزِيرًا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ مِنِّي أَمِيرًا. I think this is extraordinary in the literature. Although I don't know Arabic that much, but I think this sentence is perfect. وَأَنَا لَكُمْ وَزِيرًا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ مِنِّي أَمِيرًا. If I will be your minister, your vizier, okay, it is much better than me to be your leader. For so many of you, because Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam could predict what he's going to see. He could foresee the future. He could predict those wars, and then the people cannot really tolerate this transition, cannot, we can say, steadfastly resort to the truth and then invoke to the reality. So this is actually what is important. So basically I tried my best in order to, according to the words of Ali ibn Abi Talib himself, to a little bit clarify and shed light on the issue that why Ali ibn Abi Talib has in the beginning rejected the invitation of the people for the leadership for this very important critical position in the society. We shall continue. This is not a very, it should not be taken to be simple. Well, actually, maybe you have also some comments on that we can also communicate and share with each other. But then this discussion should be continued so that it would be practically for our today's life as well. If, for example, we're Muslims, if we do have, for example, the representatives of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, so would it be also the case for us that we have to prepare the ground for the Islamic government in a given society? I don't want to say, for example, in a specific society, but in every country that we have the chance. That mostly people, they love, for example, Islam as the ruling system. Should we fulfill the demands of the people, or we should say, no, okay, now we have to wait? Or these are actually the practical consequences of this discussion, which is very important, and inshallah we shall talk in detail more. Thank you very much for your patience. I hope that these discussions would be beneficial as well, although they are more theoretical these days, just because I think that our ideologies also should be a little bit straightforward toward the truth of our religion. Thank you very much for your patience. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of our 12th Imam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our prayers, to heal the ill people, and to intercede all Shias, the ones that they are in this mosque, in this center, in hereafter, inshallah, and then also to accommodate us very close to our awliya in the heaven, inshallah.